Hi, I'm Aiden, and a couple months ago, I released a video on my main channel called How I Almost Died Part 2. Now, if you know anything about that video, you know there's actually two versions of that video. There was the original, and then updated version that I made about a week later. Anyway, today, I'm making a comparison of the new and old version to see, which one's better. I know the second one's better, but I'm still gonna compare them. So just like, subscribe, and let's get into it. Hi, I'm Aiden. A little while ago, I ran a poll asking you guys if you wanted me to make a sequel, and if so, which sequel it would be. The results are in. You guys all voted, and it seems like Almost Dying Part 2 is the winner, taking it by a landslide. So here it is, Almost Dying Part 2. Real quick, before we jump in, if you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe. It really helps me out, especially as a smaller creator. Every subscriber shows YouTube my videos are worth recommending, and hey, maybe drop a like while you're at it. Alright, let's get right into these stories. So, the first story takes place around 6 months ago, so it's kind of a recent story. It starts off this one Friday night. I was just chilling in my room playing Mario Odyssey, great game by the way, when all of a sudden my phone rings. I go to answer it and see that's my friend Jacob. No joke, as soon as I picked up that phone, he immediately said, "Yo bro, I'm bored, what are you doing this weekend?" Now, I already had plans for that Saturday. I was going to check out this new retro video game store that just opened up near my house. So I told him, yeah man, I got plans this Saturday, but I didn't do anything on Sunday. We kept talking back and forth, and basically, Jacob insists that we link up at the park that Saturday, but I remind him that I'm doing something, and I'm free on Sunday. He was cool with that, seeing as nothing better to do that whole weekend, and seeing as I also had nothing better to do that day, I was like, alright, sounds cool. Now, fast forward to that Sunday, my mom dropped me off at the park, and what I forgot to mention was that Jacob brought one of his friends with him. His name isn't all that important to the story, so I'm not going to bother giving him a fake name, but just know he's going to be important to the story in a minute. So there's just three of us there at the park when Jacob pulled out his phone and said that we should do some prank calls. I agreed, and so he starts calling random people in his contact list. I thought that was kind of stupid, so I said we should try calling a call center. I can't remember which one we ended up going with, but I do remember one thing. As soon as the lady at the call center picked up, Jacob thought it would be the perfect time to start rizzing her up. I don't know why he did this, but it was pretty funny because he was just using the most cliche pickup lines ever. "Hey baby, if I could rearrange the alphabet, I'd put you and I together. I'm calling the cops." Yeah, so after she threatened to call the cops, we immediately hung up and went back to calling random numbers. That was until we saw two cop cars coming down the street. At first, we didn't think much of it, and I actually made a joke about it. "Oh no, bro, she called the cops!" But then the cops turned and started coming into the park. I remember Jacob just looking at me with a face of complete fear and just saying, "Run." And then, just like that, we all dispersed into the woods. Now, the way this park was set up, there was the park we were at, a trail through the forest, and an older park on the other side. So we start running into the woods right as the cops pull into the parking lot. We get into the woods and we were gonna go to the other park, but then Jacob's friend started freaking out and getting all paranoid, saying that the cops might be at the other park too. Now, a little spoiler for later in the story, the cops weren't even there for us, it just happened to be a coincidence, so there definitely wasn't any at the other park. So we made this plan, and I was definitely against it at first, but to be honest, him being so paranoid also made me start to freak out inside too. And this anxiety messed with my judgment just enough to completely erase any semblance of logic or reason. So I agreed, and we decided that we were going to walk off the path and just walk around the woods aimlessly until the cops left. Now, was this the best idea? Not at all. In fact, it was a really stupid idea because we went off the trail and started walking around. But either way, that's exactly what we did. We walked around the woods aimlessly for like 5 or 10 minutes. It seems Mother Nature agreed with me that this was a completely brain-dead thing to do. Because like halfway through, we came across this creek we had to jump across. It was my turn to jump. I slipped and fell directly into the mud. I was fine, but my new shoes that I had were ruined. But like the complete alpha male I am, I stood up and kept walking like nothing happened. Eventually, after enough walking, the woods ended and we came out onto some guy's backyard. We were just standing around thinking about what just happened and what to do next, when all of a sudden, both my friends just look up and dart off back into the woods. I was pretty confused as to why they ran, so I looked up at the back porch and no joke, this guy came outside holding a shotgun and just says, "Hey, get the hell off my property!" Now, I don't know if you guys have heard the expression fight or flight, but there's actually a third option called freeze, and that's exactly what my brain picked. So I'm just looking at that guy, paralyzed in fear, until he yells out again, "Hey boy, you got cotton in your ears or something? Get out of here!" That's when my brain finally decided to do its job, and I just said, "Okay," and sprinted off into the woods. Yeah, that's how scared I was. Now, in retrospect, was he actually gonna shoot me? Probably not. I think he was just using that gun to scare me, but still, what kind of person threatens a 14-year-old child with a shotgun? Like, I'm not even off the table for Diddy yet and I'm being held at gunpoint. Anyway, I regrouped with my friends and we go back to the park. Now by then the cops were long gone, so we kinda just hung out and did nothing for the remaining time we were there. Yeah, pretty crazy story, but this story honestly pales in comparison to the next one I'm about to tell. So this story didn't actually happen to me, but it happened to two family friends I thought was way too crazy not to tell you guys. This story literally takes place last weekend, so it's the most recent story I've ever told on this channel. Before we begin, I've asked before I told this, and one of the people involved wished to remain anonymous, and the other one wanted a shout out. So here you go, here's her channel, go subscribe if you want to. Also, if you're in her class and you're watching this, just know, she is now better than you, cause she's in a YouTube video and you're in a fursuit. Anyway, this is a special occasion, cause a friend of theirs was getting married, and to celebrate this, they were all gonna have a bridal lunch at this barbecue place by my house. I'd shout out the name of the restaurant, but I prefer if I didn't dox myself, so just know that it's a restaurant and they serve barbecue and it's pretty good. So they all go to the restaurant and they get seated outside on the porch, and the lunch begins just very normal. They all get their food and they're eating it, but around halfway through eating, something really crazy happened. This car pulls into the parking lot and backs right into the front of the building. This car went pretty far in the building too. It crashed right through the front door and went all the way to the hostess stand. Now, everyone involved was pretty lucky because they were sitting pretty far down from the porch and away from where the car crashed, but it was still pretty intense. Two of the people at the bridal lunch were nurses, so when it happened, they got up and ran to see if the person inside were okay, and here's what they found out. So the lady in the car was pretty old, like in her 80s or 90s, and when these two nurses asked to see her license, she proceeded to show them a learner's permit from 1953. It was all pretty crazy, but when the nurses and owners were pressing her on why she did it, she just said, "I just wanted some barbecue." That probably worked out in her favor though, because she pretty much guilt-tripped the restaurant owners into not pressing charges. What a legend. Yeah, so that whole situation was pretty crazy. There actually was a silver lining though. Since it was a pretty slow day and there weren't many tables close to where the car crashed, nobody was killed or even injured, but it was probably still really scarring for those who were involved. I went to eat there and check the damage a few days ago, and the crazy part is, business is still running as usual. They have the front door all boarded up, and you have to enter through a side door that doesn't even open all the way. So there you have it, two more pretty interesting near-death experiences. If you found this video entertaining or even slightly amusing, like, subscribe, and leave a nice comment, or a mean one, your choice. Click one of the boxes on screen if you're in the mood to see another one of my videos. Thanks for watching, and remember, try not to die, it's bad for your health.
He'll never get a job or a wife. Releasing AI filth, he cannot get a life. His channel just consists of me riding his bros and crashing out at me because he gets no hoes.